Eleanor Grayson had heard every rumor the valley townsfolk had ever whispered about. The man who lived beyond the cedar ridge, the one they called the mountain ghost, the wild man, the bear whisperer, names that made children shiver and adults spit to the side as if even the thought of him carried bad luck. They said he lived alone because he was half feral, because his face had been carved by winters too harsh for normal men, because he had killed a grizzly with his bare hands, though nobody could agree exactly how that story went. But the truth, as Eleanor would soon learn, was far different from the fearsome legends, and far closer to something gentle, lonely, and heartbreakingly human. On the day her life crossed with his, the sky had cracked open with a snowfall so sudden it strangled visibility, and Eleanor, traveling by wagon to start her job as a schoolteacher in Pine Vale, found herself stranded on a desolate trail, shivering as the wind clawed at her clothes. Her horse panicked, the wagon tipped, and she tumbled against a jagged log, her ankle twisting with a sickening crunch that tore a scream from her throat. She lay there helpless, freezing, certain she would die unseen by anyone except the wolves she could hear prowling in the distance. And then heavy footsteps crushed through the snow, slow, deliberate, impossibly steady. A shadow loomed above her, massive and broad-shouldered, wrapped in a coat lined with furs and frost. The mountain man. His face was thick with a winter beard, his eyes fierce and wild at first glance, but as they settled on her, the fierceness melted into something soft, startled, almost tender. Without asking permission, without saying a word, he lifted her as though she weighed nothing, carrying her through the blizzard like a man accustomed to fighting nature itself. Eleanor wanted to protest, to demand who he was or where he was taking her, but every time she tried to speak, the cold snatched the words from her mouth. When she finally woke, she found herself in a warm log cabin perched on the mountainside, the hearth glowing like a small sun, and the mountain man kneeling beside her, gently wrapping her foot with cloth strips soaked in pine resin. "You're safe," he murmured. The first words she heard him speak, his voice deep, low, surprisingly soft. "Storm's bad. You'll stay till it passes." She bristled. She was a woman alone with a stranger, an infamous one at that, but there was something disarming about him, something in the way he kept his distance, averting his eyes with an awkward respect she wasn't used to seeing from men in town. His name was Rowan Hale, she learned slowly. A man of very few words, a man who moved with the calm patience of a seasoned animal tracker, a man who carved wooden figures in the evenings when he thought she wasn't looking. Days passed in the cabin, each one revealing a new layer. The way he covered extra firewood before storms, the way he paused before speaking as if afraid to say too much, the way his hands, so strong they could split logs with a single strike, touched injured animals. With breathtaking gentleness, she started asking questions, and he started answering, haltingly at first. She learned he had once lived in town, had once been engaged, had once been a man the community loved, until the night a wildfire took his family home and left him, alone in a world that felt too sharp, too loud, too cruel. People blamed him irrationally, unfairly. Grief turned him silent, and silence turned into rumors. And rumors turned him into the monster the town made him out to be. And yet here he was, caring for her with quiet devotion, cooking soups, crafting a crutch for her ankle, stepping outside during the coldest nights only after stacking extra logs beside her bed. She saw the way he studied her when he thought she was asleep, not with hunger or entitlement, but with the aching curiosity of a man who had forgotten what it meant to be near another soul. Eleanor found herself drawn to him, not out of fear or pity, but out of gratitude and a growing warmth she hadn't felt in years. She tried to help around the cabin, fumbling with tasks at first, but he always stepped in with wordless guidance, always patient. When she laughed, truly laughed for the first time since arriving, he froze, as if the sound was a memory he hadn't heard in so long he didn't know how to react. One night, as snow hammered the roof, she asked him quietly, "Rowan, why does everyone say you're dangerous?" He paused, staring into the fire. Because it's easier to fear a quiet man than ask why he went quiet. Those words sank deep inside her. When the storm finally eased, she expected him to send her back, but he seemed almost sad. He offered to guide her safely to the valley, but a strange ache tugged at her chest at the thought of leaving. And though she didn't understand it yet, though she wouldn't admit it even to herself, she had already begun falling for the mountain man no one else had ever dared to see clearly. And this was only the beginning. If you're loving this emotional Wild West love story, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 2. It gets even better.